Don't forget, you can reach the latest episode of Potomac Watch anytime. Just ask your smart speaker, play the Opinion Potomac Watch podcast.
From the opinion pages of the Wall Street Journal, this is Potomac Watch.
Welcome back. I would second that discomfort, and I would also throw out the idea that there are a broad range of powers that go with the presidency that are unrelated to this inquiry. And I would make an analogy maybe to the pressure that the Biden administration put on social media companies amid the pandemic and during COVID. And the suggestion in some of the lawsuits that came in the wake of that was that the Biden administration has such leverage over those companies because it has powers over Section 230 of their immunity that is essentially, when it makes a request of Facebook or Twitter or whatnot, Facebook or Twitter don't have a very good option to say no. And I would draw the analogy there, Bill, because this regulatory review of antitrust law has nothing to do with the coverage, whether CBS was in the right or wrong and how it edited this 60 Minutes interview last fall. And so it's pretty disconcerting in my mind to see those things connected, at least in the press. And granted, Paramount has not settled this lawsuit as of yet. And so it may choose to, it may choose not to. But just the notion that they may decide it is better to make some kind of payment and make the lawsuit go away in order to ease its potential antitrust concerns is a little concerning.
Yeah, I think, Kyle, the opposite of the market isn't cooperation between business and government. It's collusion. That's what you're talking about, the instinct. Whenever the government has powers in the private sector, the opportunity is always there to charge something for it, whether that is a cash price or, in Washington's case, more political price. And you're quite right to bring up Hunter Biden. I think a lot of Donald Trump's supporters should think twice about this. They know how it was used against them. Frankly, I'm more interested in someone saying, let's abolish the FCC. We have USAID on the theoretical chopping block, CPFB on the chopping block, hopefully the Department of Education. But, when you look at it, it's not just the alternative media has risen, but it grew around the established system. So the established system put these limits in, and then the alternative media creatively found a way around it. And I think we should encourage that, not get into tit for tat lawsuits. Saturday Night Live is very clear about its political leanings. But do we really want the producers to say how many minutes for so-and-so, how many minutes for this guy? I don't think so. I think it's wrong to look for more regulation. I think we should look for ways to open it up, as Kim said.
And it's not only do we want the producers of SNL to be thinking that way, it's do we want them to be thinking that way under threat of government regulation? And Kim, we'll give you the last word here, but do you suppose this is something that we could get the Department of Government Efficiency, the DOGE fellas, interested in? The fact that there is an FCC bureaucracy in Washington that is investigating news distortion complaints like this in a way that maybe made sense in 1950, but doesn't so much in 2025.
I wish that were a cause. And this is where I think free market, free people thinking sometimes gets lost and confused. Look, people dislike the mainstream media. Okay. I get it. They're frustrated by bias. Although I would also note that compared to what was offered decades ago, there are so many more choices and so many more outlets people have to get more of the kind of news that focuses on what they want or with perspectives that they like, etc. The real threat out there is government invading the First Amendment, government somehow using different powers and authorities it has to essentially tell journalists what they can do, what they can't do, what they can write about, the amount of minutes that they have to spend on every subject. And this has all become very complicated, again, because of these public broadcast stations that are legacies from years ago. By the way, maybe let's just get rid of public broadcasting. Okay. I mean, just like we're doing pie in the sky ideas out here, like just make CBS and ABC and NBC have affiliates on other ways that people get their news. Anything to get government out of the business of meddling in what is done in the media, the fourth estate, which again, I always like to say this. If you look at the Constitution, so far as I can see in my reading, there is only one industry that gets a shout out, and that is the press. And it's in the First Amendment, and it says something about how important the founders viewed that particular industry as a counterpart to government and how important it was that government is not involved in the business of journalism.
Thank you, Kim and Bill. Thank you all for listening. You can email us at pwpodcast@wsj.com. If you like the show, please hit that subscribe button, and we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Potomac Watch.